Hello, license holders. Hello, hello, hello. A warm, warm welcome to each of you. And a very happy new year too. It's still the first quarter of the year, so I think we can say happy new year. My name is Brenna Cronin, and I have the pleasure of serving as general manager of One License based here in our main office in Chicago. I want to welcome you to the webinar. It's something that we do in the first quarter of each year for a couple of different reasons. First of all, folks who are either new to their position or new to the responsibilities of the One License process, but also for those of you who need a refresher course or to freshen up on your skills a little bit as we kick off a new year. We are near about 25 live viewers or so. I'm sure that we will have others who join us over the course of the hour that we'll be spending together. And I know that last year we had thousands of people who watched the webinar after the fact. So we have about 21,000 licenses worldwide. So it's pretty exciting to be serving such a massive enterprise. So thanks to the 26 of you or so so far that have joined us here today. I want to extend also a special welcome to those of you who are watching after. I know that there isn't one specific time zone where we can all participate together. So plenty of our license holders from the UK, Europe, Australia, and New Zealand, I'm sure are going to be watching after the fact. So regardless of whether you're watching now or later, thank you for all that you do for your ministries. Thank you for partnering with us to help inspire congregational song in your parishes and congregations. And we hope that this time together today can be incredibly helpful. So just a few housekeeping notes. The webinar will run no longer than 1 hour in length. I am very respectful of your time, so we will cut it off in about 55 minutes here or so. It's the Q&A portion that always gives us a little bit of room for flexibility. So if there are no more questions, happy to end the call early. Otherwise, we will have that strict cutoff time about 55 minutes or so from now. In the coming days, the webinar will be posted to our blog. Our blog is news.onelicense.net. If you've never visited it before, just put the word news in front of our website, news.onelicense.net. When it's announced or posted, you'll see it here. You'll also see it posted in our newsletter that comes out once a month. So just in case you need to duck out in a half hour or so, you need to leave early, or if there's a specific piece of information or a person that you think would benefit from this information, you can feel free to share that link with them. Next couple of days, it'll be up there. You can rewatch this exact video and you can share it with your teams as well. This webinar only requires the use of your speakers or your headphones, so there's no need to have a microphone or a video camera as you're an office member. An audience member, excuse me. I'll take this moment to plug our call and response events. Those have been super, super successful. Some of you may have seen those advertised in our monthly newsletter. Call and response was this idea that we had to generate this idea of virtual office hours. So a way for you to talk with our team, to bounce ideas off of our team, to kind of, work out an issue that you're experiencing in your specific organization, and maybe hear some feedback from some peers. So the call and response events are happening once a month. We're doing them at 10 a.m. Central Time and then also 7 p.m. Central Time. So typically in the morning, we're talking to North America and Europe, and then in the evening, we're talking to North America and Australia and New Zealand. So if any of those call and response events are helpful for you, our next one is coming up next Wednesday. Send us an email if you can't find the registration information for that anymore, and we can help you get to it. It's been a really, really great place for folks to have a little bit more dialogue. So today, where you're more, with your listening ears on and from a learning perspective, the call and response event can be really helpful to actually talk out an idea. All right, the only other last housekeeping note that I have is that before we watch our overview video, I want to encourage you to get out a piece of paper and a pen so you're able to take notes throughout the session. You may have things that come up, you may have questions that come up for you, and if we don't get to those questions as we're kind of going across the topic, then we can certainly come back to those at the end. So take a minute, get out that piece of paper and a pen so you can take some notes or write down some questions, and I will pull up our overview video for us to watch together. One license. Download, create, report. Once you're a subscriber, you'll have access to thousands of downloadable music image files from our catalog of member publishers, and our outstanding database will help you make sure the song or text you're looking for is covered. Creating worship aids, bulletins, and projections has never been easier. Search for your song and download high-resolution music image files, all in one place. By taking advantage of the most up-to-date technology, our website makes it easy to report the titles you use. This ensures authors, composers, and publishers receive fair compensation. Music directors, pastors, and their teams can report song usage 12 weeks in the past and 6 weeks into the future. And our convenient list feature allows you to store frequently used titles for future access, or to download your entire list of songs at the click of a button. One License offers annual, event, and single-use reprint licenses. Annual licenses are the economical choice for those who reprint or project music on a regular basis. Event licenses are great for retreats, conferences, and conventions that are up to 1 week in length. And single-use licenses are perfect for a wedding, funeral, or other one-time event. In addition to congregational reprint licenses, One License offers a podcast streaming license for churches to stay connected to their many members, and a practice track license for music directors to share recordings with choir members and instrumentalists to help them learn their music. The One License customer service team is here to help. Our intelligent ticketing system and phone support ensure that your questions are promptly addressed. Email us at info@onelicense.net or call us at 1-800-663-1501. We believe in the power of music to connect and inspire communities. One License allows congregations to make the most of our member publishers' music, providing access to the finest music for the worshiping assembly. Whether you're using our service on an annual or a one-time basis, we're proud to offer our support. One License, inspiring congregational song. All right, folks, thanks for taking a moment to watch that with us. The webinar today will be divided into 4 parts. The first is an external overview of the website. The second is an internal overview for current license holders. The third is more information on special features such as copyright compliance and group licenses. And then the fourth section is going to be an extended Q&A session. So I'd like to introduce our license holder support specialist, Kathy Connolly, who is going to explain the Q&A process.
Hello, license holders. This is Kathy Connolly, your license holder support specialist, and I'll be helping with the Q&A process today. I have the pleasure of speaking to many of you over email through our online ticketing system, and that's exactly how we'll be answering your questions today. There are 2 ways to submit a question. One, the best way to submit a question is through the contact link in the upper right-hand corner after you are already logged into the website. Since you are logged in, our team will be able to see your organization name and license number, allowing us to find your account faster. 2, you can also email info@onelicense.net, which will submit your question. Note that in both of these instances, you must write webinar in the subject or message, so we know you are watching us live. Questions will be answered throughout and at the end of the call. Note that if your question is too specific to your organization, we'll respond via email, typically within 1 business day. Our online ticketing system is the best and fastest way to get a hold of the license holder support team.
Thank you, Kathy, so much. And I especially appreciate you saying that last line about it being the best and fastest way to get a hold of our team. Our team works in all around the world, in all kinds of different countries. So the best way for us to be able to communicate with each other is through written emails. And we're seeing, phone calls kind of decline over the years and years that we've been in business. And we definitely respond to that. We have amped up our email ticketing system. We have come up with different ways where we can assign tickets to each other or include notes about tickets or things like that. So if you need anything, just in general, you can always email us at info@onelicense.net. Of course, for today, your email, or again, clicking that contact button in the upper right-hand corner, you can send us a message that way. it's helpful to keep things on email so that way we can forward them to each other and answer your question in the best way that we can, especially since we're a global enterprise. So again, if you have those questions, go ahead and submit them now or wait until something comes up. And you can most certainly count on Kathy jumping in and asking questions when the time is right, or we can double check our questions at the end of the call. All right. So that is all for housekeeping. We'll go through an overview of the exterior of the website to start with. So you'll see that I'm here at onelicense.net. And so as of January 1st of 2017, so oh my goodness, over 3 years ago, we became what is now known as One License. So the company has been in business for a very long time. We were there since 2004. But now what everyone knows as One License and what many of you know as One License is really all of the work and effort that had happened up until January 1st of 17. So all of the major Catholic and mainline Protestant publishers are a part of our service now. You can click on the Member Publishers tab to see specifically who we work with. And I'll go through a little bit of this more specifically in just a minute here. But we have over 80,000 songs in our catalog, and we work with over 300 different publishing houses and publishing entities. So it's pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting. We are very, very passionate about what we do. We are staffed by, professional music ministers. We also are working in our churches during the week and on the weekend. So we just want you to feel an incredible sense of calm, of hospitality, of education. That's what we're here for. There are certainly some more daunting, copyright type of things to be aware of or to be concerned about. But moreover than anything, we want you to know that we really and truly are here to support you. And we're doing the work too. We're doing the work too. I make worship aids all the time for weddings or for funerals or for other things that I'm participating in personally. So here we are, and we're here to help. I want to mention specifically that we're primarily a reporting service and that we're secondarily a downloading service. So what that means is that when you have an annual reprint license with us and you have a publisher whose works you want to reprint, you have permission to do that as long as the member publisher is a part of our service. Now I say secondarily the downloading aspect of that, and you may have noticed this already if you've been on our service for a while, but not all of our member publishers participate in the download portion. So it's entirely up to them. As their licensing agent, we can only license what they give us access to. So if you see the song on the website and it doesn't have a download, that's because they made that decision not to do that. I think it's for a couple of different reasons. The resources are in hymnals. They also have their own planning services. I'm thinking of things like Write Series or Sundays and Seasons, things like that. There's also a great partnership that we have with hymnary.org, and they have downloadable image files. So I think for some of the publishers, the music is out there. And this is really what folks use for pretty much the reprinting piece of it specifically. Some folks also use us a little bit as a planning service. I don't necessarily like to brand us as that because it's not like you can search for a specific liturgical week or anything like that. So I know that folks use our service in a variety of different ways, but I want to be really clear up front that we're primarily a reporting service and then secondarily a downloading service. The other thing I want to be very transparent about is that we cover congregational music only. So music for instrumentalists, choirs, cantors, accompanists, etc. It must be purchased directly from the member publisher. So you must go directly to their website or to their phone number or to their physical location or another website like JW Pepper to actually receive the physical copies of the music for instrumentalists, choirs, cantors, accompanists, etc. I also want to give you a little bit of transparency about our coverage, what we cover and what we don't. So I'm going to log out here so that way you can see exactly what the website looks like if you were just a brand new user who had never visited the site before, or if you don't have access to a license. So you'll see our country dropdown. This is really important because copyrights are only permitted in certain territories. Different publishers can own rights in different territories. So if your IP address on your computer doesn't automatically select where you are, go ahead and select your dropdown so that way you can take a look at exactly what's available in your specific region. I'm just going to search for All Are Welcome here. Marty Haugen's version is the one that I'm specifically thinking of from GIA Publications. You'll see that it's right here. It's the 5th result. If you click on View More Versions, you can see the location of all of the different files that we have. So for example, the intentionally blurry JPEG image. So it's pretty crisp, but it's not as crisp as it could be in the hopes that folks aren't stealing music from the website. And I'll just be very transparent about that. You'll see the copy from the Catholic Community Hymnal that's here. You may prefer that copy. You may prefer the copy from Gather Comprehensive 2. You may prefer the copy from Ritual Song 2nd edition. They can all look different. Some of them are in different keys depending on the song. You know, this song might not be, but another song might be. So it's important for you to kind of like take a look at the preview images, see which one is the one that actually works for you. And then if you were logged in and you clicked on PDF, you would see it automatically download. So I'm using Safari for this example, so you would see the download appear up there. If you don't have a license or you're not logged in, it's going to encourage you to purchase one. So this is the way that we kind of keep the music as secure as possible on our website, so nothing is being lifted off of this site. So you'll see how it's encouraged me to log in or to purchase a license. Of course, if you search for something, let's try, even though Happy Birthday is in the public domain, I wanted to come up with something that wouldn't make any sense at all. Let's search for my name. Let's see if that would do. There we go. So you'll see this blue message here. Sorry, no results found meeting your search criteria. Please check the copyright line of the song in your worship resource and verify that it is from a one license member publisher. If the song is copyrighted by a member publisher, you may still reprint and report the song with your one license. So I hope that that makes sense. If there are any questions about that topic, feel free to send them in to us and we're happy to cover it. I just kind of wanted to give you an example of what it would look like if the song was not available at all. So going back to our homepage here, pretty much a 3-step process: downloading the images, creating whatever the resource looks like for you. So some folks use projection screens, some use worship aids, leaflets, some use supplemental hymnals. I want you to kind of think about it as like serving a volleyball over the net. So we're going to serve the volleyball to you. However you catch it, bump it, spike it, drop it, whatever you end up doing with it is really up to you. We encourage our folks to use some type of official resource, like a worship aid, having it nice and branded with your organization's name, maybe with a logo on there, right? Having it look like a really nice, clean, crisp resource. But we also know that that's not always the most accessible thing for the folks that we work with. So entirely up to you as to what you want the resource to look like. The only thing that we require is that all of the copyright information and the licensing information is required to be listed in the booklet. So if you already have a one license with us, you'll notice in your welcome packet that it's very specific about the line that you must include on every single piece that you reprint. Now, it does not need to be under every song. It does not need to be on every page, but at the end of the booklet, an 8-point font, or on the front inside cover where you say, all are welcome to sing with this worship aid. We encourage your active, full conscious participation. And then writing underneath it, reprinted with permission, under one license number, and then you indicate your number, and then a period, and then all rights reserved, and then period. If you need more information on that specific line, you can download a copy of your welcome packet, or you can email us and we can send you a copy of your welcome packet. But having that information on your resource, if it's on a slide projection, I'm totally fine with it only being listed once during a service. So if you have like a welcome message that you have for folks when they walk into the sanctuary and you want to say, welcome to St. Anne's Parish, please note that all music used within the service was reprinted with permission under one license, right? You can do that. You can also have it at the bottom of every slide. You can also have one slide at the very, very end that indicates it. The process by which you do this is really up to you. It just needs to be somewhere, okay? So I want you to know that you have a lot of freedom with what works for you. I'm not gonna require it in 16-point font at a very specific typesetting, right? Because that's not always an option. So I know I'm kind of belaboring the point a little bit here, but I want you all to know that the copyright and licensing information is so, so, so important. It must be listed somewhere. The third piece of this is the reporting process. So typically what we find is that folks report when they're doing their research. So I pulled up All Are Welcome a moment ago. I found the title, and then I just click the green report button. And I'll go through that process a little bit, but it's really pretty straightforward, that three-part process, downloading, creating, and then reporting. I want to mention, I do see a note in the chat here. The best thing for you folks to do is to send us an email at info@onelicense.net just so we can answer the questions more specifically. I will answer this specific question here though. You must indicate the licensing and copyright information for music as well as text. So if you're lifting the text out of a piece of music and you're just writing the text still belongs to the piece of music. So there is no one without the other. The copyright and licensing information must be indicated there. So thanks for asking your question. Certainly happy to help, Emily. Go ahead and send us an email if there's anything further on that, just so I can stay a little bit more on top of the presentation and Kathy can jump in with the questions. The news and announcement section is down here at the bottom. It's given a second to load. This pulls directly from the blog. So again, news.onelicense.net, if you missed me saying that in the beginning. The blog is a really, really helpful resource for you to find all kinds of stuff, my friends. If you want to click the word search and type in the word copyright, you'll find some information that pulls up about the actual process of what copyright looks like. If you heard about this great new thing that folks are doing called supplemental hymnals, search the word supplemental and you will find not only the presentation I gave about it at NPM last year, but you'll also find this whole resource about hymnals and reusable songbooks. So there's written information, there's video and audio information. We try to get the information out to you as in many ways as we possibly can. If you're interested in group licenses, you can search for that. And there's a couple of different resources for you. There's a brochure, there's a webinar, and then there's also a more like written out process. How to know if a group license is a good fit. What does the onboarding process look like, et cetera, et cetera. So we really do our best to make sure that the information on the blog is relevant, make sure that it's timely, make sure that it's available to you all as soon as we have the information or develop the information. So certainly want to encourage you to consult the blog whenever you have questions about specific topics. For those of you who have payment questions, you can also search the word payment and you can find all of our information on how to do wire transfers and payments outside of North America. Or if you don't have a credit card. So another really great option for you there. I'll just mention quickly in the footer here, we have an FAQ section. We also have the option for you to download our most recent brochure. If there are pastors or leadership or anyone who needs a little bit more information, or if you want to take this out somewhere to a parish council meeting or something like that, again, it's in the footer. All of you well, most of the folks are typically mailed a copy of the brochure as well. Again, you can access that from our footer and click on download brochure. We have a partners page. We have our privacy policy, which is important for our overseas customers who have different internet rules than North America does. You can also visit some video tutorials here where we give you just kind of quick 2-3 minute snippets on how to actually download and search for things. A few more things I'll draw your attention to. This How It Works page is also how you can access those videos. Just click on tutorial videos and they're all there. There is a little bit of an overview here on reprint licenses, on the podcast streaming license. So this can be a really great place for you to direct folks who have just initial questions. Again, I'm thinking of pastors, I'm thinking of leadership folks who may have more specific questions on how the whole process of all of this works. Again, our member publishers page is over here. This is one of the most visited pages, and I'll tell you exactly why. Folks take a look at a piece of music, they look at the copyright information at the very bottom, and then they try to figure out whether that company is with us or not. So Iona, you'll see that Iona is covered under GIA publications in North America. Iona is also their own entity outside of North America. If you wanted to search for the word Taizé, again, and we do the asterisk and then also not the asterisk because folks search different ways. So they're under GIA in North America, and then they're their own entity outside of North America. So if you were to search again for my name, you'd see that nothing comes up. So you know that we don't work with that specific company. The options and prices page also spells out all of the types of licenses that are available in your region and the costs that are associated with them. So the pricing is all based on average weekly attendance. The average weekly attendance of your congregation is typically a number. If you don't know, then your treasurer or your ushers would know. Typically that number is very important, especially when it comes to tithing and what your percentages look like and things like that. So average weekly attendance isn't necessarily registered families. You can have 2,000 registered families, but you only have 1,000 of those that are showing up on a given weekend, right? So your number may fluctuate accordingly. Of course, we know that numbers go up at Christmas and Easter. We know that they go down during the summer, or if you have snowbirds or college students or any number of other reasons why your attendance would go up or down. So all we ask for is an average weekly attendance. If you're in this category E and you had 705 people at your service last week, I don't want you to worry about it. But if you're seeing that, month over month, your number is trending closer to 800 than it is to 700, then we can increase your category for you. The same thing, unfortunately, we know that attendance waxes and wanes. So if you're at the lower end of the spectrum and you're noticing that, for, 6, 8, 9 months straight, your number's been closer to 375, well, we can adjust that for you. Those adjustments happen once a year when you get your renewal. If the number goes up astronomically or down astronomically, we can have a different conversation about that. We certainly want to make sure that the license is serving your means, but I want you all to feel really comfortable that once a year, if your number goes up or down, that we can certainly edit that for you. And then I'll just give one more reminder about this contact in the upper right-hand corner here. This is how you can send us messages during the webinar today. You can also send us just a regular old email to info@onelicense.net. Put the subject line in there as webinar, so that way Kathy knows that you're watching live. And with that, Kathy, do we have any questions so far? If they're on any of the topics that we've covered, great. If with the agenda that we're going to get to it, that's fine too. But happy to answer any questions for the moment.
Sure, we did have one come in by email yesterday. Someone is looking to purchase a license and wondering if you could speak to the benefits of an annual license purchase over a few single use licenses. They said we only reprint a handful of times a year, but did not give a specific number.
Yeah, Kathy, that's a fantastic question. We hear that all the time. I'm going to bring your attention, everyone, to the single-use licenses section. First of all, if you have an annual license, you do not need to buy single or event licenses unless it's for something outside of the scope of your parish. So for example, if your high school youth group who always regularly attends Mass is now going on a mission trip, they do not need an event license because that mission trip is essentially a part of what the parish is sponsoring and a part of what the parish is doing, right? If you have an AA meeting or a mom's group or something that's meeting during the day and you need to print a song or a worship aid or something for them, again, you don't need a single-use license. That we consider that all a part of what the parish, the part of the parish life or the congregation's life. What you would need a license for is if St. Anne's and St. Joseph's come together and want to have a larger community event. If the Cardinal is coming and there's all of a sudden going to be 2,000 people at Mass when you usually only pay for 200, right? Those are the things that we consider outside of the scope of the license that you have if you have an annual. So it's really important for you to make sure that you have the licensing that's appropriate for the given event. Now, with the actual purchasing of single uses and annuals, we find that once you hit that 3 or 4 times a year number, you might as well just have an annual. The reason why I recommend annuals is because your number doesn't change. You have the same number forever and ever and ever. And if you are like my parish who uses the same Triduum booklets every year, and part of the reason why we use them every year is, of course, because of the tradition and the ritual, and people have come to love and know those songs. But there's also an eco-friendly element of that and a time-friendly element of that, where we don't want you to have to reprint a 50-page Triduum booklet every single year, not only from the cost of the staff staff, but also the cost of the actual money that it takes to put that project together. And if you had a single-use license, you would need to reprint it every single year because your number would change. So it's important that your number lines up with what you're actually producing. And that's why we always recommend annual licenses, because they just make a little bit more sense than single use and event licenses if you're reprinting at least 4 times a year. All right, Kathy, any other questions for now?
Yeah, there was a question that came through about projecting and reporting. They say they're just projecting words on a screen from songs in the hymnals that are already in the pews that everyone has access to. Do they still need to report those songs?
You absolutely do, yes. Because you are reproducing or reprinting them from their original source. If it's up on a screen and you have it in a hymnal, it's no difference than you taking it out of the hymnal and putting it in a worship aid. It's no different than you standing at the photocopy machine and making photocopies of a piece of music, right? So anytime that you lift something out of its original source, whether that's an octavo or a hymnal, that's typically what we find, you have to have a reprint license in order to do so. So the reproduction of that piece of music was not approved without a license in order to do it. So yes, if you're reprinting up on a screen, indicate the copyright and licensing information, report that you've used it. You report it the same exact way, whether you do a worship aid, projection screen, whatever it happens to be, we still consider it a reprint. So for example, if I was to report a song, we'll go back to All Are Welcome. And I just want to give a reminder, if you're raising your hand or using the chat feature, I'm going to ask you to send us an email so that way we can manage the questions just a little bit better because there's so many of you. To go ahead and report the song, send and view report, and then you can indicate whether you reprinted it, repodcasted it, or both. I happen to have a podcast license. That's why mine is indicated there. But whether this was reprinted on a worship aid or reprinted on a funeral booklet or reprinted on a screen, it doesn't matter. It's all the same process as far as the reporting system is concerned.
Okay, that's it for now from us.
All right, thanks, Kathy. I appreciate that. So we'll give you a little bit of an internal overview of the website. We'll start with the My Account tab. My Profile is where you can indicate any changes in contact information, whether that's address or users, etc. You can also take a look at the licenses that you have. So for those of you earlier, if you haven't received a copy of your welcome packet, click on this green arrow here. So I'm looking at my annual license. Click on the green arrow here and then click Send Welcome Packet. What that's going to do is send a copy of the welcome packet to your email. We have tons and tons, my friends, of information in the welcome packet. It's a really helpful resource for you to forward over to your teams so that way they have a better understanding of what you're actually doing with the license and the reason why you need it. So there's a really nice welcome letter from us. There's the helpful instructions document, and then the terms and conditions is arguably the most important piece of that. So that way you can be very clear on what's expected of you. 100% compliance in our reporting process is what is expected from you. So every single thing that you report, we pay out a royalty. Those royalties go to actual real human beings. We pay out all the way to the second decimal point. If you only report one song one time and it's never reported ever again and it only earns, I don't know, let's say $1, we're still going to write a check to someone for $1. All right. It's incredibly important to us. It's a social justice issue for us that there be this element of respect and understanding when it comes to reporting. So sending that welcome packet to yourself can be really helpful. It'll also include a copy of your invoice, but you can click View Invoice here if you just need that one specific piece of paper. The default settings, this is where you can indicate the number of services that you have, or what I like to say is the number of services that are consistent. So for example, let's say you have a 9 o'clock mass, an 11 o'clock mass, a 4:30 on Saturday, and then a 5 o'clock youth mass on Sunday night. Perhaps the 4:30, the 9, and the 11 are all pretty typically the same exact music. So you can have your default services as 3. If the youth group kind of does their own thing, or they have a different music person that works with them, don't indicate your services as 4. What this is going to do is multiply the number of services that you report, and that's really for your ease. So what we recommend here is the number of services that are consistent, so that way you don't have to edit that number all of the time when an individual song comes up. You can also indicate which hymnals you work with. This is totally optional. It's not required by any means, but it will allow those results to populate to the top. Anytime you run a report, you can access the report here. And by reports, I mean, if you go to My Account and then Report Usage, it can be really, really helpful to know what's being reported and what isn't, especially if you're the director of music and you have a couple of different secretaries or liturgy assistants that are working under you. If you scroll down all the way to the bottom, you can click on View Past Reports. And this is just going to pull up a regular screen. It's not going to download anything. So you can see the reporting history. And you may already, when you look at this, go, oh my goodness, that's awesome. That's wonderful. That's exactly what I expected. All is well. Or you may look at this and say, oh my goodness, we have a huge problem. There hasn't been anything reported since September. We're significantly behind. And then you can come up with a plan for what that looks like for you. This is just my dummy administrative account. So don't think ill of me for not reporting since September. This is just the administrative account that we use. So again, My Account, Report Usage. You can scroll down to the bottom to view your past reports, or more specifically, my friends, you can download a copy of your 12-month reporting history. So now you can see that I've run that report. The status is that it's downloaded. It's right there. It'll pop up for us in just a second. But this can be really helpful if you are actually expecting, or if someone's expecting of you, that you keep a paper copy of the report, or that you keep it, for your bishops asking for it, or I mean, something along those lines. It's always available through you here. All right. Alrighty, so I mentioned a little bit about reporting strictness and the compliance that we expect in that. We have a kind of a quarterly reporting window that's available to you. So you can report 12 weeks in the past and then 6 weeks into the future. So at the moment, you can report as far back as November 14th and as far forward as March 26th to April 1st. If you have titles that you know that you need to catch up on, and I'm sure that there is someone on this call that does. It is human nature. We get behind when it comes to the holidays. We have a person who's out for some type of sabbatical or sick leave or something like that. We understand. What we ask of you is that you update your reports as soon as possible. We want you logging in. We want you clicking this manage button. We want you indicating the songs that you've used. If you have songs from September that you haven't uploaded, go ahead and put them in for any available week. Put them in right here. If you go to your report usage page, or if we review your reporting history, which we often do, and there's all of a sudden, 55 titles that are here, it's going to be okay and life's going to go on. The benefit to reporting every single week or keeping the titles in the week that they were actually used is so that way you can go back and say, hey, what did we do for Christmas last year? Hey, you can kind of use it as your own planning tool, right? What did we use for Ash Wednesday last year? So that way we can go back and see what we used, and we can duplicate it again. Also, you can duplicate by season on here. So we are already into Advent at this point. As of this week, you can click duplicate. You can duplicate it to the week after. You can click copy songs. And now all of a sudden, all of those songs that were there are now duplicated to the next week. So that can be a really great option for you if you know you're singing the exact same mass setting for 6 straight weeks, especially as we come up to Lent and you want to get your planning done ahead of time. I'll bring your attention to these 2 search buttons here. You can browse by mass settings. Speaking of mass settings, this is a really great option for those of you who want to see the entirety of a mass at once. So I am thinking of the Mass of St. Anne. The Gloria is just gorgeous on that one. So if you wanted to search by a specific mass setting, you can do that, the Browse by Mass Setting page. And now the entirety of the Mass of St. Anne is listed here, the entirety of it, okay? So maybe you just use the Gloria, that's fine. Go ahead and report just the Gloria. You're allowed to mix and match mass settings. It's totally fine. So if you want to pull your Gloria from this one, that's great. If you want to pull your Eucharistic liturgy from the Mass of Creation, you can do that, right? All as well. So this is just the way that you can find those. For our Lutheran brothers and sisters, or for those of you who are using pre-2010 language for any reason, whatever that might be, ecumenical reason, all of the pre-2010 mass settings are here on the right-hand side, okay? So the revised ones are on the left post-2010, and all of the new ones, or the old ones, excuse me, are on the right-hand side. So you can certainly browse by those. You also have the option of browsing by contributor, publisher, tune, meter, psalm. I mean, you can get pretty crazy with how specific you want to make this. I'll offer maybe something that might sound obvious, but maybe isn't. We only have the data that we have. We only have the data that we have. So while Google might give you, 35 million results because there are 35 actual million results. If the data's not here, my friend, we're not going to have it. So you can't just manifest data that isn't there. So if you search too specifically sometimes, it's not going to give you enough options for you. So all are welcome, certainly. It's the fifth result. I'm thinking of Marty's again. If you want to search All Are Welcome Haugen, it's the first one. You've made it more specific. But if for whatever reason you're searching almost too specifically, right? You start writing in, I don't know, copyright years, or you get all kinds of crazy with it. If the data doesn't line up, the information's not going to pop up. So again, that might sound a little obvious, but I think it's important to state it. You also have the option of searching by hymnal resource. So since we're playing around with this one, I'll go ahead and pull it up. So say I was using the ritual song hymnal. I know there's now a second edition, but it's just right up here and it's easy for us. If you're going through your hymnal and you want to report ritual song number 846, you will see that only one result pops up. You also have the option of searching by SKU number. And you can type that number in here. And then anything that includes 00004 pops up. So other publishers are allowed to use the same numbers. They're a little bit different. The Stephen Kirk publisher, he has a different way that he's labeled these here, right? But anything that includes that number is going to pop up. So it can be really easy for you, especially if you have like an 8th grade confirmation student who's helping you report titles. You can tell them, report 5 instances of 00004. And that can be really straightforward for them to do. You can put in parentheses, that it's under All Are Welcome Haugen. I mean, you can make it as easy for them as you want it to be, but you can also kind of have a little list for yourself if these numbers are helpful. So I definitely recommend that. And another interesting thing that you can do with downloading and lists, if you want to report this, not only can you, submit and continue your search and send and view your report, but to add this song to a list, you click on this list button here, and you can either select the list that you already have going. So say you want to add this to your community songbook because these are the top 50 songs that you use, and it's just easier for you to access them. Totally fine. You can also create a new list. So say you're putting together a booklet for, again, that high school mission trip that you talked about. You can indicate that you have a new list, and then you can save and you can manage that list. So lots of really great options for searching for songs, for finding songs, getting creative on how they're listed in the system. We always recommend that at first you maybe be a little bit more general and then get more specific depending on what you're looking for. I know that the Psalms can be especially tricky because one company will say Psalm 23 : shepherd me, O God. Another company just calls it shepherd me, O God. Another company calls it Psalm 23 Haugen, right? There are so many different ways that the companies, the publishers that I'm specifically talking about, there's so many different ways that they put the data in the system that it can be a little tricky. So sometimes you have to, search for it a couple of different ways. So I know that some of that was fast and abrupt, and I hope that some of you took some good notes. You can always reference the webinar back again, and we're always happy to help. But Kathy, are there any questions that came up from that section?
Yes. Why doesn't searching by hymnal yield a result for everything within that hymnal?
Yeah, great question. So hymnals are really interesting resources. We may have 80,000 titles in our system, but it doesn't necessarily mean that all of those titles are going to be covered by the copyright or that all of the titles are going to be allowed to be used. So I'm thinking of someone who would create a resource where the digital permissions, and you see me searching, I'm trying to find one, where the digital permissions don't like automatically transfer to the website. So that would be one good reason. I mean, Ritual Song is a GIA resource, so a bunch of their stuff is certainly going to be covered, 90% or whatever. But maybe if I was searching a different, oh, you know what I'll do? I'm going to search this Tazay resource because I know that they don't have 910 pages in that book. But say that they did, right? So say you were looking for the 910th page of this specific resource. It would tell you that no results are coming up. So that can be for a number of different reasons. We always assume best intentions and that typically the data that the publisher provided to us is accurate and the song just isn't covered for whatever specific reason. But if you're searching through something and you see the copyright information at the bottom very clearly says one of the publishers that we're working with and you think that it might be an error, send us an email. We're happy to look at it. We have a very large library and we can certainly do some research for you on the specific title. What else do you have, Kathy?
Nothing for right now.
Okay, sounds good. So I just want to bring up some special features here. That's going to be our final section before the Q&A. Again, news.onelicense.net, super, super helpful resource. Our 2019 year in review post includes some of the top resources, the top clicks from 2019 that folks were most interested in. You can also, again, search in the upper right-hand corner. I want to play this copyright video for you all. It's just a couple of minutes long. I'm going to give that a second to load.
Hello, license holders. This is Brenna Cronin, General Manager of One License. Whether you are brand new in your position or just wanting to start the year on the right note, here are 4 simple steps that you can do today to ensure that your organization is copyright compliant for the coming year and beyond. Number 1, ensure that correct copyright and licensing information is listed on all materials that you reprint. This includes the title, composer, copyright year, and any other information included in the reprint box of the given song, as well as your One License reprint information. Be sure old company names are removed. Only One License should be listed, and not any reference to onelicense.net, Word of Life International, or Licensing Online. Be sure the phrase reprinted with permission under One License number and insert your number, period, all rights reserved, period, is printed on your worship aids, bulletins, projection screens, YouTube videos, Facebook Lives, and anywhere else that reprinted or streamed music is used. Number 2, view your present and download a copy of your previous 12-month reporting history. From the Report Usage tab, account owners, sub-users, and group managers can review the current quarterly reporting period, meaning what titles have been submitted for 12 weeks in the past and 6 weeks into the future, as well as their legacy reports and 12-month histories. To review past reports or download a copy of your 12-month reporting history, scroll to the bottom of the page and click the appropriate link. This is a great way to audit your usage and hold your team accountable for anything missing. Number 3, destroy photocopies of music that you find. Go through file cabinets, old bookshelves, and even pay a visit to that dusty old storage room. Non-congregational music that was photocopied without the express consent of the publisher is illegal and can carry debilitating fines. Even if you didn't photocopy the music yourself, if your church or organization is in possession of or distributes illegal copies, you could be faced with a claim of copyright infringement. Before destroying the music, take note of the titles, composers, and publishers of pieces so you can contact them for legal octavos or versions. Protect your organization. Prioritize this task. Number 4, confirm that your category size correctly matches your average weekly attendance. Every organization that has a license with us is set into an average weekly attendance category. This category indicates the range of people you have attending your services. These ranges ensure that whether you have a dip in summer attendance and a spike around the holidays, or if you have traveling college students or snowbirds, your organization will be covered regardless of the season. You can view your current category from the Licenses tab under My Account. Visit the Options and Prices page to see the range of categories and make sure that your organization is in the right one. Typically, you can communicate increases or decreases when your invoice is up for renewal. If your category change is significant, please contact our office and we can assist in prorating your account. So in summary, copyright compliance in 4 simple steps that you can achieve today. Number 1, display correct copyright and licensing information. 2, view and download your reporting history for auditing. 3, destroy photocopied music. And 4, confirm your category size. Thanks for taking a few minutes to review this information. I hope you feel empowered to follow up with your team on these 4 important steps to ensure that your organization is copyright compliant this year and beyond. As always, please reach out to our team at info@onelicense.net if you have any questions. Have a great year, everyone.
Thanks for taking a minute to watch that with me. Again, click on search in the upper right-hand corner, search the word copyright, and then the simple steps towards copyright compliance video will pop up for you. 2 other things that I want to bring your attention to before we transition back to Q&A to close out our session. If you are needing help on creating worship aids, you can search for the word worship in the upper right-hand corner. We did a breakout session at NPM in 2018. It was a really, really well-attended session. And we have the video of that here for you to take a look at. Not only do we go into this idea of the artistic qualities of what makes a worship aid a compelling resource, but also the copyright implications of actually putting something like that together. And then the other one that I will bring your attention to is the supplemental hymnal resource. So that one talks about how you can create a resource like this for your community, whether it's a good fit or not, what the process is for doing it. And then also a kind of additional license that we offer is the podcast streaming license. We did a printed resource on that and then also a webinar on that specific topic. And that dives into more of the specific implications for that license as well. So definitely higher level things than we were able to get to today. I want to make one more plug for our call and response events. Again, the next one is happening coming Wednesday next week. Definitely more time for us to be able to chat about larger, broader topics that we can help with. All right, Kathy, back to you. What kinds of questions are coming up?
We do have another hymnal question. Someone wondering why they can't find their hymnal in the hymnal resource tab.
Yeah, so not every publisher that we work with puts their hymnal up on the website. It takes an exceptional amount of work, and I'll just be very blunt about that. So for a publisher to be a part of our website is one thing, to have their titles up there, but to have their downloads available and then to have their hymnals indexed, oh my goodness. It's a significant amount of work. Some of these publishers have very, very, very large catalogs. And some of them don't have dedicated staff members. So the big companies all do GIA, World Library, OCP, Augsburg, Hope, Oxford, those folks that we work with pretty closely, but not every publisher does. So that's the best answer I can offer to that one. We always encourage our publishers to deepen their relationship with us on the website, but some of them just don't have necessarily the means to do that.
Okay, and a diocesan question. If someone is interested in their diocese joining as a group, how does that work?
Yeah, take a look at the blog again, search the word group in the upper right-hand corner, and then send us an email. Take a look at this post here, super, super helpful about whether the license is a good fit for you. And then take a look at this webinar as well, which we cater to folks who don't have licenses as well as those who do. So 2 really great resources. Send us an email. We're happy to get you set up with that. I get it. I know that the whole coverage of a diocese is a pretty large undertaking. We have some pretty easy tools to make it easy for you. I don't want anybody to ever feel daunted about what it takes to become copyright compliant. We have tools, we have resources, we're here to help.
Okay, and my last one that's come through, we've had it, the support team has had this multiple times in recent months. The understanding that what we do is supporting artists creating new work and uplifting congregational song, but they find that others in their office just don't get it, that you can't just copy everything without reporting. What is your best advice for getting the message across to their multiple choir directors?
Oh, goodness. Thanks for asking this. My friends, there is such a human element to this. I know that there is only so much capacity. There's only so much time. There are only so many resources. And it is difficult to handle all of the things that are on your plate, especially when you thought you were going to have a completely free day to catch up on things. And now all of a sudden you have 2 funerals. I get it. I get it. What I would encourage you to do is to take time and examine your own conscience and to examine your own values and the integrity behind what it is that you do. If you are working in a large parish and you have some type of, power, if you're the director of music, you can make it a part of someone's job description that they are required to report their usage. You can write it right in. If you are working on a team where, some people are respecting the process and some people aren't, that can be a little trickier. I get that. I think at the end of the day, and this is with so many things in life, you have to be able to put your own head on your own pillow. And I would encourage those of you who are on the train, you're on the track of copyright compliance, you're doing the right thing, to stay there. I know that it can be very challenging to feel like others around you aren't respecting the same process that you are. So know that we are here to help. We can educate. I'm happy to have emails or phone conversations with folks if they're not being compliant. We send reporting reminders. You're not alone in this. It's not your job necessarily to manage anyone else. But I want you to know that we are here to help, and I get it. And I appreciate those of you who do stay on top of your reporting. Our publishers, our authors, our composers, it is their livelihood. We take that honor very seriously. And we know that, if I can speak on behalf of them, we know that they greatly appreciate anything that you can do to send those reports in a timely manner. So that is the time that we have for today. I'm grateful for those of you who are able to spend the hour with us. Again, if you have other questions that come up as you're talking with your teams or as you kind of process this information today, tomorrow, the rest of the week, email us at info@onelicense.net. We're very happy to help. I hope you join us for a future call and response in the future. I want to thank Kathy very much for your help with the questions. Kathy is who you're typically talking to. If you send in an email or you make a phone call, Kathy is fantastic at what she does. So please take advantage of her as a resource. We appreciate your time and your attention to this important information. Ultimately, what we hope our service does is to provide dynamic worship for your congregation and help to inspire congregational song. So from our entire Chicago and global team, my very, very best to you and your ministry in this upcoming season. Have a great rest of your day.